So next up, we are going to play a quick round of a very fun game that is called Some Questionable News. And so a brief overview of this is it's a game to promote media literacy. We are going to present you with some headlines on the screen. You can already see that we're setting up. And we want you to guess if these headlines are actually real headlines or something that we have made up to be catchy for you. And so just note, we're not asking you about the science of it. We just want you to tell us if you think the headline itself is real or fake. So you can play along by putting in your answer in the comment section, the chat box. You can also use our new function through our poll on the YouTube, so you can play along there as well. And our experts are also going to be playing along with us. So we will start off with the first headline. So breaking news, studies suggest that you could get the benefits of exercise without actually having to exercise. So in the comments, please let us know if you think this is real news headline or it is a fake one that we have made up. I know a lot of us would like that. Just sit at home and think about it. So I will give us about 15 seconds, and then we will also discuss what our panelists think, if it is real or fake. I'll put my thoughts in there. So. All right, so let us start off first with our panelist thoughts. Dr. Savison, do you think this is a real or fake headline?
I think it's fake. Do you want to know why?
Yes,
or no?
Please.
Okay. I just think it's fake because there's always, we always tend to lean on the idea that if you could bottle up all the benefits of exercise into a pill, then, you know, everybody would be great, because we know there's so many benefits to exercise. So I don't know. I don't think we can see that.
Awesome. All right. So 54% of our audience says that it is real. Dr. Jung, you actually told us you think it's fake. Can you elaborate on why you think it is a fake headline?
Yeah, because there's so many benefits that I just don't think we even know all of them yet. So how can we even, if it was a pill or a drink or whatever it is, how could we get it? How could we sneak all those in there when we don't even know all the benefits? And the other piece of me thinks there's always side effects. With exercise, the side effects are positive. With other pieces, the side effects more likely to be negative.
Yeah, thank you for that. And turn it over to Dr. Tenopolsky to share his thoughts.
Yeah, sadly, the headline is actually true. And for some of you who remember about 15 years ago, some basic scientists who don't actually see patients or translate their research, they will mutate a gene and then say, oh, look, I can get the same benefits of exercise and I can run just as far. So these type of statements come out frequently, even by very reputable news agencies. But as my esteemed colleagues have pointed out, it's fake in reality. I personally, and we've been trying to show some of these benefits with various nutritional supplements and other things for our patients, but nothing will mimic the multi-systemic benefits of exercise. So yes, you can go in a sauna, increase heat shock proteins, and get a little bit of mitochondrial adaptation. But there's so many other benefits. We have changes that go on in the brain, which lower the risk of depression and anxiety, as was pointed out. And that too can be linked to mitochondrial changes in AMP kinase, et cetera, et cetera. But to get all of the myriad of benefits that we know, from lower risk of cataracts, improved hearing, skin, cardiovascular benefits, but more importantly, I think what others have highlighted on today, which I feel every day when I exercise, is just the incredible enjoyment that you have when you find what you enjoy. And as we say to kids, go out and do a smorgasbord of activity, because everyone's an athlete. You just got to find what you enjoy doing. And once you've done that, exercise becomes much easier, and you get so many other benefits.
Awesome. Thank you. That was very insightful. And yes, like you have said, this is actually a real headline. So maybe I could throw out a question to the panel. For the community that actually reads this, we are, inundated with all of these sorts of headlines. How do we navigate what is actually real? Not just the headlines, but the actual science that was done to generate this headline if we don't really know about the science, but we want the benefits of the results? How do we just as a community navigate these sorts of headlines and make our own informed decisions about what we think? I'll start off with Dr. Jung.
Yeah, thanks. I love that question. I would say look at two spots: who the study was done on, and ask yourself, are they similar to me? If it was only people identifying as men, and you are not identifying as a man, not probably going to be all that relatable. The second thing is the intervention. So what did they do to be able to say this piece affects that outcome? So if the exercise in this example was, let's say, rats being weighted down, and that was to mimic swimming, and that type of that is the form of exercise, totally could be valid to work with humans. But is the claim, is the headline or statement justified, or is it being overstated based on what the actual intervention was?
Awesome, thank you for that. Dr. Savison, do you have anything to add to that?
I would just say that, all of these articles do highlight at least a little bit of who did the study or a link to the original study. And so, you don't need a lot of scientific literacy to look at, like Mary's suggesting, the who and the final outcomes of the study. And really a good practice is to question everything. You don't you can't take things at face value. And so the more that we critique and the more that we question the types of titles and headlines that we see, the more likely we are to be our own advocates. And that's, the most important piece of again, like a self-care strategy, is to be our own advocates and to understand ourselves. And so you need to see yourself in the headlines, but also highlight and find the actual core of the study that was done. And these types of headlines should not be done because of one study. So that's the other part of it, that one study should not be generating this type of, very big, lofty goal, so that's another piece.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And last but definitely not least, Dr. Tanopolsky.
Sure. I think the first thing is, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is probably fake. Number two, I would say, generally, when you look at the reputable news sources, that's where you're going to have them carefully screened. I'm always amazed when I talk to CBC or ABC or any of the BBC, for example, the level to which they go through and they actually interrogate and really try to find out the truth. If you're getting something as a tweeted tweet from another tweet, you've got to really question those sort of things. The other issue I would say, which was alluded to earlier, is studies done on cells, or what we call preclinical models, which is mice and rats generally, are rarely translatable to humans. And yet most of these are based, most of these sensationalist comments are based on a petri dish, or you knock out a gene in a mouse and then they make these wild extrapolations. And even with drugs in humans, often we go all the way through to the very final study, where it's called a double-blind study, before we finally can tell if something really is going to work. So if it isn't in humans and it's not been very well researched and usually replicated, as was pointed out by Catherine, I wouldn't put too much credence into what they're saying.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And thank you to all the panelists. We will move on to the second headline. All right. We'll just get that bad boy on the screen. So, breaking news: exercise mistakes that can shorten your lifespan, science says. Do you think this is a real headline or a fake one? Give about 15 seconds to everyone in the audience to make their decisions. . Awesome. Give 5 more seconds to get the audience feedback. Awesome. So first, let's turn it over to our esteemed panelist, Dr. Tenopolsky. Do you think this is real or fake? And you've told us in the comment section that you think it is false. Could you maybe elaborate on why you think this is false?
Yeah, I mean, anything goes when it comes to crazy headlines, but this is almost certainly a false statement, but somebody might have mentioned it. So, I mean, other than dropping a weight on your head and killing yourself, or not learning how to swim and jumping into a lake, there's very few things that you can do, I think, to hurt yourself, other than poor technique and getting a sports injury. But that's not going to shorten your lifespan. And I really think that any movement is good movement for humans. Throughout evolution, we moved, and it's only recently that we have slowed down, and that's not our biologic default. So keep moving and ignore these crazy statements.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So our audience, 67% of them think that this is a fake headline as well. We've got a split between our other panelists. Dr. Savastin thinks it is a true headline, and Dr. Mary Young thinks it's a fake one. The results are it is actually a real headline story. So this was actually done as a study for 700 professional male artists, and it suggested that daily extraneous exercises as an occupation corresponded to shorter lifespan, and there were other things as well associated in this study. So we're going to move through the last 2 headlines fairly quickly. If we can put up the next one, which says, exercise doesn't burn that many calories. Here's the health benefits it does provide. So let's take about 15 seconds and say if we think it is a real or a fake headline. Awesome. I will open up the floor to Dr. Savastin to tell me if she thinks it is real or fake.
I think it is fake. I'm on the fence on this one. I was more sure on the other one. but I think, it's, there's a lot of health benefits to exercise. And in context, when you see the term exercise without what exercise, this is way too misleading to even have a clear thought in my head on whether it's true or fake, because different exercises have different levels of calories that they burn, but also serve very different purposes, as we've all talked about today. So that's where I'm standing right now, on the fence.
Awesome. I like that. That's a nice diplomatic answer. So this headline turns out to also be real. And 70% of our audience thought that it was real as well. So in this article, they talked about burning calories doesn't necessarily equate to good health, and extra exercise may not burn as many calories as we think. And the last headline that we have for our game today is weight loss. Is it bad to work out every day? Do we think this is real or fake? Take about 15 seconds. All right, I will open the floor over to Dr. Young to share her thoughts on if she thinks it's real or fake and why.
Well, I think I'm getting the game now, and I'm sure any statement that can be sensationalized is going to be in the media. Suggesting that working out every day might be bad for you is something that the media might want to say to pick up a reader or two. In terms of the reality of the statement, it's so broad. How could we possibly is getting out and walking around the block every day bad? I doubt it, right? Is doing strenuous exercise for hours on end every single day bad for you? It might be for certain people. So yeah. it's kind of a grandiose statement. So
Agreed. Thank you. And even our audience is having a 50-50 split that think that this is real versus fake. But like you said, it is a real headline as well.